All right, everybody, welcome to the last webinar of the school year, Slowed Down Busy Bee. So our intent is to walk through this as slowly and as scaffolded as possible so you can leave feeling like you're able to perhaps implement some of the Busy Bee features into your units if you feel like it. So I think, Abs, we're going to start with you right now. This isn't a Busy Bee feature per se, but it's the themes, the new themes that are available in Buzz. Abby's been working a lot with them and they look so slick. It was really skimmed over in that Agilix webinar. And so we wanted to show you what it looks like because it really just like bumps up your presentation of your content by quite a bit. So Abs, I'll turn the time over to you.
Hello, hello. I love these themes. They make me super happy. So I'm super excited to share with you how to do them. So just as an example of what let me show you how to make it and then I'll show you how they look. I think that's probably our best bet. Okay, so to set up themes, before you set up your theme, you need, if you want, a background. I like backgrounds. I think they're great. I think they add a little bit to this. So you can choose this. You can choose a solid color or you can choose nothing. So I'm going to walk you through what you need to do to get a background and then how to put it into a theme and then how to apply a theme. So that's where we're at. So we're going to start right here in Canva and I'm going to share my screen. Does everybody see Canva? Lovely. Okay, so first things first is you want to create a design, and I like using the Instagram post, the social media square posts for Instagram, which creates a 1080 by 1080 square, and you actually need a 1200 by 1200 square. So immediately before doing anything, once I open this, I just quickly resize it to 1200 by 1200, just so it's the right size where it needs to be. So it's 1200 by 1200 pixels. And then I just resize this design. So we're here. Now, depending on what your themes are, what your colors are, what your vibe is, that is going to inform what you do in this background. The example that I'm going to show you is actually using Business Law, which Janice made before she left, and I have not touched. So it is very basic buzzness. So I'm going to just pick something random, to be honest. So we're going to go in here. I'm going to search elements. I'm going to search background. I'm going to pick a graphic, and I'm totally feeling these polka dots. I think they're cute. So I'm going to just... one way is you can, zoom, make it bigger. I like them kind of little like this. So I'm just copying and pasting these dots until they fill the whole square. So now I have a square of polka dots. Huzzah, go me. Then I'm going to share, download a PNG, the size that we've already made it, so it's already the right size, and download. Now I'm going to make a second background just so that I have alternate, so I can show you visually kind of the difference between some of the settings and themes. So I'm going to do this one. My 7-year-old would love this. It's very axolotl-y or unicorny. I'm going to download just page 2. Okay, so now I have my backgrounds, and I'm going to go into Buzz. And I'm going to choose the class I'm going to edit, and we're going to go into the editor. This is important because this is how you have to access that. So it has to be the place with all the little pencil edits as well as the tools button at the top. So the tools button is where we find the theme. So we click there, we go to course settings, and we scroll down, and here on the left-hand side is activity themes. Okay, so we're going to add that theme, and we're going to do 2 of them. So our first one, and it kind of shows you a preview here of what it looks like, but without the background. So I'm going to walk you through kind of the options and then show you what they look like. So we are going to do full pages what Buzz already does. Buzz already has everything defaulted to full page. So the new options are single card or multiple cards. So I want to show you, this one's going to be single card. Our question number, this applies to the quizzes. So the assessments option, you know how everything automatically numbers as you choose what you're doing. This chooses where those numbers go on your card, because each question will end up on a card. So it chooses where it goes, or you can choose to have no numbers. So I like them just normal, so that's an option. And then you can choose whether or not you want a divider. You can choose if the card corners are round or square, and you can choose the width, how wide these cards are. Do you want them to be dynamic, which is the full, and they'll change with the width of a screen, or you can have them at standard, which means they're going to stay a certain width no matter how wide or narrow a screen is, or you can choose a custom width. And I don't know what that might look like or what size you would need for that. It's something you'd probably have to play with. So I have liked the standard vibe, so that's what I'm going to go with. You then can add in a background image. So I'm going to go choose the one we just made with the polka dots, like this. You can also add in a permanent header and footer. And these are things like copyright. We don't do this. I don't know how worried you are about headers and footers, but if you wanted to add something in, you could. Okay, so this one we're going to do, this is a single card, and this is a standard width. I'm going to do yeah, sure, you could put your email address. Ooh, Amy, I like that. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh my gosh. You can contact your teacher at, but really, I want them to message me and Buzz. I like it better. I don't know about you guys, but every time I get an email now, I'm annoyed. Like, just message me and Buzz. Don't send me an email. But yeah, we could totally do that. There you go. Look. Okay, we're gonna save that. And then we're gonna make another one just so you can see the difference kind of visually. We're gonna make this one multiple cards. We're gonna make this inline. We're gonna make it round. We're gonna make it full width, and we're gonna choose the other background. Pretty. Okay. So these, oh, you might want to. Okay, I did not know this. I just learned something. You ready? Once I changed the name, I can't change it back. Like I was like, oh, I didn't put in multiple cards and all that stuff, so I knew the difference. And I went in thinking I could change this, and apparently you can't. So heads up, make sure your name is what you want it to be before you hit save. The more you know. I feel like I just saw that. Do you guys remember that? We're all old enough, right? The more you know. Yeah, with the star. Okay. So once you've done these two themes, you want to click save. And then to add a theme is pretty simple. Let's go in here to module 1. I'm going to click edit. And right here under theme, here, let me show you what it looks like before. This is what it currently looks like. You've got your module, your lessons, and your objectives. So if I edit this activity, I'm going to choose the single card polka dot theme. I hit save, and this is now what it looks like. So it's added that background. It's kind of put everything on these pop-ups, which are called cards, right? And they're on single cards. And I can show more, show less. But this is kind of what it looks like. Now, I feel like for me, those polka dots are actually super overwhelming and distracting. I would not use them. I wouldn't leave them. I would go change that after looking at them, but they're still cute. So that's what it looks like with our first theme. And our second theme looks a little bit like this. So we've got the rounded corners. That's a little softer. I like this background a little better. And it kind of shows you here. So let me show you also what it would look like inside of like a quiz. I'm sure Janice has a quiz. So we're going to do the test card, the polka dot one. We're going to hit save. We're going to preview it. And you can see here, we got our polka dots. And then when we hit save, it has everything. We said a single card with a line divider. So all of our quiz questions with the inline number, right? So the numbers, these questions kind of look the same as they used to. There's now this line between each one, which is kind of a visual break for each question. But if we did the second option, which was our multiple cards instead of a single card, do you see how each question has its own card? So it's separated visually with a break. And then we chose this number in the corner. So instead of having the one in line with the question, it's now in the corner. And you can have it on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, or have none at all. And that's something you get to choose. And I like this. I like cards because for me, and this is just me as a student, I think I like the visual break. It tells me where each question is very visually, and that's really good for me. So I think that's one of the reasons I kind of latched onto this, and I have applied this in my new unit. And I really like how it looks. I like how it feels. And I'm hoping that it might even just be a little easy thing that I can do to help students. Any questions about activity themes? Megan Hennessy.
I was typing it, but I'll just say it. So in order to create this theme throughout your course, you would have to go in and individually put it in quiz, assignment, lesson, everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is annoying. It's also why you want to have separate ones, because there are times when, like, I had an assignment that I had built as an assessment, but I used headers to break it up, but it kept numbering everything. And when Haley went through it and my PLC, they were like, it's very confusing why you have these things numbered the way you have them. And I was like, I want to turn off the numbers, but I can't. And then I could. So I could like turn off the numbers for just that assignment. And then my other quizzes still have numbers. So it is definitely a module, folder, and individual thing level. But so it can take a little bit, but if you have it set up at the beginning, it's just something you do as you create stuff, and it's not a big deal. Any other questions? Comments, Gripes?
Are we going, I know they talked about this in the original Busy Bee. Are we going to have any that are like uploaded for our whole school that we can choose from that are like East Shore themed, or is that not?
I don't think so.
Okay.
From what I understand, it doesn't seem like that's something because it is on a course level. Now, that might be something we could play with where, because there is a blank unit that is used to create all of our new units. So like when we're like, okay, I'm done with this unit, I need a new blank entrepreneurship 4, like I'm ready to start that. They create a new blank one, right? And it has everything linked in for the final and the intro stuff. We might be able to have activity themes preloaded into that, but I haven't tried it. So how's that for an answer? If you duplicate an assignment, does the theme come with it? Great question, Emily. Let's find out. Duplicate. Duplicate. Sure does. Ta-da. Any other questions? All right. Haley, I think it's back to you.
Back to me. Okay. Let me just find the right video or the right window I need to share. Okay. Next, I'm going to be talking about Busy Bee grading. And when this went live, holy smokes, did people have feelings about this, okay? And so, like, for good or for bad, I was like, when I hear something about, I don't know, anything, I kind of like dig in my heels a little bit. And I'm like, I want to see if I can get this to work for me. Like, I want to see if I can figure this out. It's kind of in my personality. And so never fear, I turned off the Busy Bee grading in almost every one of my units except for 3. Okay. And I decided that I wanted to see if I could get the AI to grade better, like grade like I would. Now, going into this and going through the rest of this webinar, I think it's important to realize that AI is only as smart as you make it. AI is only as smart as the information you feed it. I think maybe not a lot of us, maybe me only, but like was thinking this Busy Bee grading was going to be like all of a sudden magically wonderful because it was omniscient and whatever. And that's not the case. Like Busy Bee knows very little information about what's going on unless you feed it to it. So the more information you give the AI, the more information you give Busy Bee, the better off you're going to be. So I made some Busy Bee rubrics to grade some of my assessments, and I want to walk through, first of all, how I did that. And then second of all, what it looks like from the student, or what it looks like in my grading queue. And then we'll talk about how I feel about it. Okay, so we'll just go step by step from there. So the first thing that you do is you come into whatever assessment you're going to do. And then in your question, you edit your individual question and you come down and you make a rubric. So now mine says edit rubric because I've already made one. So I made this rubric. Now I tried all different sorts of rubric. I tried like a rubric with one indicator, right? Like one line of information that the answer should have, all of these things. This one has 4. This question, what is the definition of an animal, has like a right answer. Okay. And that's where I think AI especially could do a good job, can do a good job, because there is a right or a wrong answer. It's not how you feel about this or what do you think about this, but it's like, does it have these 4 things? So it has a row for whether it's eukaryotic, whether it's multicellular, heterotrophic, and does not have cell walls. Okay, so that's that rubric that I made. This question, why are organs in phylum Porifera classified as animals? So for a lot of these, okay, backtrack. A couple of years ago, the science team decided we would put in example answers to every one of our questions, like a perfect answer, because if we ever graded for each other, we wanted to make sure we knew what we were talking about. So leading up to this, every single one of my questions had a right answer. I went directly to ChatGPT and I said, here is the question, here is a perfect answer, make me a rubric. And then I basically used the rubrics ChatGPT gave me as I made this rubric here. Okay. Now I edited it based on, I don't know, how I felt ChatGPT did or what I really wanted to emphasize. But in this case, this one is a 2-liner. It includes at least 3 of these, and it includes all of these things. So I felt like ChatGPT did a great job. It overwhelmed me at the beginning to think of me having to go in and make a rubric for every single question, even if I was just testing it out in 3 units. It just, like, the thought of it completely overwhelmed me. And so using ChatGPT to do that thinking process for me was easy, and it was made easier because I had already had a perfect answer. So that was my process. So this next question, the 6 kingdoms of life, like, again, it's like a right or wrong answer. And so the rubric is 1 line. Does it include these things? So that was the process of making the Busy Bee, making my rubric so Busy Bee could grade for that. Any questions about making the rubric before I move on to what it looks like in your grading queue? Good. Okay. Now, I don't know how to not break FERPA laws, guys. So just pretend that you don't see anything but this one assessment here. Okay. So this is what it looks like now. Now, instead of Busy Bee guessing what grade I would have given and those weird decimal points we were getting, now it thinks, well, I think this answer fits here. And I think that here, this answer fits here and fits here. These ones are a little bit trickier. Let's go to the ones that I know have a right or wrong answer. So this one, does it list them all correctly? I can look at it and see that it does. And it also says, yes, it did it. They got 100% on this question because they listed them all correctly. So things like this 1-liner rubric here is easy for me to understand. And you can see the feedback it gives here. That's fine. Now, if we go down to this one, the definition of an animal, it says, did it include this? Yes. And then there's feedback. Did it include this? Yep. Yep. Clear explanation of heterotrophy. Great. Okay. mentions that says correctly noted. Okay, so this one has the 4 lines, and that's how it looks there. So the students do not see the example answer. It's just on the teacher side. Yeah. So it's just for us when we grade for each other. So then it also gives this, this AI summary. I don't feel like it sounds like me, so I often do not use this response, but it's there. Now, where do students find these? These don't come back in a message. These pieces, this feedback on the rubric, this is like students would have to go to the gradebook, click on the assignment, view the feedback, and they would see this feedback here based on the rubric. So it's like going back to pre-messaging era, right? I don't know how many students are doing that unless we direct them there. So I'm kind of ignoring this feedback for right now. Now, how do I feel about this? I feel like it is doing an okay job. I feel like for spots where I am looking for exact right answers, and there are right answers and there's nothing else, it does an okay job. I will tell you that there are some points, like even down on this, what is a definition of an animal, where sometimes it doesn't grade it. And I'm like, well, it's all there. Like, why? So I don't know what the student did, maybe with the formatting or whatever, but there are some times where the Busy Bee grading is like, I didn't even attempt to grade this question, and I don't know why. The second thing that I don't love about this, I especially don't love this multi-line rubric, because it's just like, it's so much to get through for me. Like, it just feels like so much. So would I go back and change this rubric to like a one-liner? Probably, if I was going to keep it and use it, because this is just like too much for me. Would I leave Busy Bee to give it a score and like not even look at this and say like, oh, sure, this student deserves an 83.75%? No, / not yet. As I've graded more assignments, I've realized that my rubrics need tweaking and adjusting to refine and to make Busy Bee grader grade more like I would. That being said, I don't know that I will keep it on my units, if I'm going to be honest. Because for me, I've had enough experience grading these where my eyes, I feel like I'm looking for, keywords, I'm looking for specific things, and I feel like I do a better job than the Busy Bee grading does, or perhaps I'm a more generous grader. So maybe I need to go back and refine my rubric, or maybe I just need to not worry about it at all. So that is my experience with the Busy Bee grading, for good or for bad. It has worked to a point, but the more information that you give the AI, the better off you're going to be. Any questions about Busy Bee grading or comments?
I mean, I have one assignment that when Busy Bee kicked in was perfect. It was perfection from the beginning, but that's it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of time spent right now deleting things and deleting feedback, but I don't know. I'm keeping it on right now. I like it enough, and it gives enough. It does well enough, I guess, for me, but I don't feel like it takes enough extra time that it's a deterrent for me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I really wish they had an option to not have to have the feedback show up for each rubric question, because I think that's where I find it wastes more time than it saves me. Because there's too many times reading all their feedback on the rubrics that I'm like, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. Where if I could just choose to have the general feedback and then have it grade based on the rubric, I think I would find it might actually save time. But
I'm going to be honest with you, Amy. I rarely look at the feedback it gives me on the rubric, and I just keep it because I don't know how many kids are going to dive into their grade book and look at it. Like, I don't know. I feel like very few. And fewer students would be like, you left this feedback. Can you help me explain it? To those 1 or 2 students that might reach out about it, I could explain the whole AI thing versus like spending time fretting about it every time I'm in the grade book.
And maybe that's the solution. But that for me was so frustrating because it would say things that I was like, that doesn't even make sense.
I would agree with you, Nicole, that I wish there were a way to like use the busy, the AI grading on some assignments and not others. Like, yeah, that would be nice. And I think that's on our Busy Bee feedback page that we're compiling for Darcy. So, I mean, I think it definitely could be a feature. So I feel like the good part about this that I've learned is like, there is still a human part of teaching, right? And even grading. Like there's still a part of me that is interacting with students no matter how removed it feels like. And I'm still a human grading their content and interacting with them in that way. And so I like that feeling versus leaving it to AI. Okay. That was Busy Bee grading. Are we ready to move on to Busy Bees and Busy Bee and lessons? Yes? Okay, let's do it. All right. This is where we got into Agilix. Let me bring up an assignment. Okay. So this is where we got into the thing with Agilix about needing to fill out metadata when we have a RISE lesson or a storyline lesson. So again, the metadata is informing the AI. In a RISE or a storyline, Buzz can't access that because of the way the information is stored, right? It's either in images or in ways that Buzz can't easily read it. Buzz can easily read text. So if you have a rich text, something or other, and they showed us examples of that, Buzz can grab that and make Busy Bee stuff like nobody's business, okay? But with the content that we build, we need to give information to Busy Bee to make these extra helps for students. And again, like if I have to go back to Biology 1 that I built last year, the year before, and like remember what is exactly in Food Chains Lesson Part 1, it's going to take me forever, and I'm not going to do it. But what I am going to do is use AI to help me remember what I taught and make the metadata for me. So I'm going to go to my lesson in Articulate, in RISE, okay? And I'm going to publish it as a PDF. And then what RISE is going to do is it's going to publish this lesson as a PDF. So any images you have, any text you have, it's just going to make a PDF of it, which is great and super easy. And then what I did is I took it to ChatGPT and I said, and I uploaded that PDF, just easy peasy. The metadata will be used to help students yes. And we'll get to that in just a second, what the metadata will be used for. So I said, ChatGPT, here's the PDF, summarize this document into 5 paragraphs, including images. Now we can get into a little bit of prompt engineering here because it thought I wanted it to summarize the document and then suggest images for me, which is not really what I wanted it to do. But I'm looking at this and it gave me 5 paragraphs. And I said, that's actually really, really great what I did in this lesson. So then I go back into Buzz and I go into this lesson part and I edit. And then in the settings, I copied and pasted all of that information into the metadata. So this is what it is. It's a brief description of what is in this lesson. And now Buzz and the AI know what this lesson is about, and it can make the Busy Bee tools that the students will use. So you need to select allow students to use Busy Bee tools. Once the metadata is in, select that, and then you can click save. And then students will be able to, at the bottom of the lesson, use the Busy Bee tools. The first one is to get help. So this is like, I don't know if you guys remember when our ILC walked through School AI with us and there was the bots you could chat with. This is like that. This is using the metadata to help students understand better what the lesson is. So, hi, I'm Busy Bee. I'm here to help you. What parts of food chains are you most curious about? I can help you through understanding any of this stuff because that's what I put in the metadata. So I need help understanding what kinds of organisms are producers. Okay, and then it tells me producers are organisms that make their own food using sunlight. Okay, so, and I could keep going with this, but this is what the get help is. Students can come here and ask questions and get answers based on what you put in the metadata. I just want to try an experiment. What about if I put something in that isn't covered in the lesson? So let's say I didn't cover like parasites in this lesson. So what are parasites? Let's see what it does with that. Interesting. Well, parasites are interesting. They're not directly related to our lesson on food chains. Interesting. So that's what it did with something that it didn't know about. So that's the get help. Check my understanding generates questions based on the metadata. So which of these are consumers in the food chain? So I'm going to click on them. And then I'm going to check my answer. Bacteria, or bacteria that produces. So it gives me like, that was incorrect and gives me reasons why. The one feedback that Abby and I have so far on this is the close button looks awfully like a submit button. And if you close out of it, you're done. So like here, you got to check answer instead of close. Reviewing key concepts will generate these flashcards. So look very much like Rise. And then help my student gives parents a list of things that they could do with their students to help them with this lesson. So whether they're practical or not, like play a game where they act out different roles in a food chain. I don't know if that's helpful, but sure. Ask students to explain why the sun is important in food chains. That's actually a really good one. So again, the AI is informed by that metadata. And so the more detailed the metadata is, the better off Busy Bee will be in helping students. But I love work smarter, not harder. Like ChatGPT is so good at summarizing documents. Let it do the hard work. Upload the metadata and trust. Cross your fingers that it's enough that the Busy Bee tools will be helpful for your students. So that's the way Arise works. And we're going to turn it over to Abby for storyline.
Oh, yes. So I do shout out to Katie and Nicole who showed me how to do this because I was not entirely sure. So they're playing around with this I don't remember exactly what you guys were doing, but you learned these skills. Nicole was going to unmute and tell us what they were doing.
We were just trying to figure out, we have several storylines we want to migrate over to Rises.
Riseify.
So we were trying to figure out a good way to do that, to be able to take the information from the notes and the images and everything and export them and be able to move them into Rises.
There it is. So let me share. I might need to share my entire screen so that you can see all of storyline. So I'll minimize you guys a little bit. So this is my storyline that I used for this process when Haley and I were figuring it out. So from storyline, what I did was I published, and I chose as a Word document. And I chose show layers, show slide notes, and a medium-sized screenshot. And I published that out into a Word doc. Now, I don't have Word on my computer, so I then took that into Google Docs. And then I exported it as a PDF because ChatGPT does not deal with Word docs. Just a heads up, it just errors out over and over again. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? Why won't this work? And it's like, oh, it just hates it. Got it. So this is what a PDF looks like. Or the Word doc saved as a PDF, I guess. And really what it is it's just screenshots of everything from my lesson, and each of the layers has its own screenshot. There is not an option to export from Storyline directly to a PDF, to my knowledge. It's just Word doc. And then this is like my triggers. This is a list of my triggers. Like B1 is a bad drop target. G2 was a good drop target. I was like, wow, this is, I mean, you could probably rebuild something in Storyline just based on this, which is kind of cool, but it's also a little intensive. But this is
Abby,
what it looks like.
I just had the thought that if you do have the capability of editing it in Word or either in Google Doc, it might be a good idea before you export it as a PDF to erase some of those things. So,
Maybe.
So ChatGPT isn't like pulling from them.
Yeah, if you want to make that effort, I literally just uploaded it and exported it. I didn't even take a moment to think, but it might be a good idea to do that. I definitely had to, I showed you everything. Like this document is so long for my one storyline. It's 60 pages. I was like, that is so much. It doesn't feel that long when you go through it, I promise. Because then you upload it into ChatGPT, and I summarize this document in 5 paragraphs. And I love that, Katie. She said that's also helpful to send to a DC coordinator if your student is struggling getting on your storyline or there's an issue, or for them to have. That's so true. Sorry, Nicole, what did you say? The one click is items, they overlap. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good to know. There you go. So great for making guided notes as well. This is all, it's just so cool. And I know we have a lot of storylines. A lot of people are like completely moving away from storyline. I still love a good storyline. I just made this, so I'm here for it. But so I just said summarize the document in 5 paragraphs, and it started telling me about like how this is a storyboard and like what it talked about, but it described what the document was rather than summarizing the content. And so then I started worrying like, oh no, can it not see the images? Because all my content is currently on images on this PDF. And I was like, oh shoot, this may not work. And so I was trying to, figure out how to ask it the right way. And then I said, analyze this document in its images. And it kind of did the same thing. Like, you've got drag and drops. You have pick ones. There is some content, but here's where your visuals. I was like, oh, you guys, I'm so worried. But then Haley was like, try this. So this was my prompt. Can you give me a summary of the content covered on the images rather than an evaluation of the document itself? That's what I want. I want the content. I don't want what's going on. And it did a really good job. I felt it went through each section. It gave me a little synopsis, as well as walked through the review and stuff. And so this is what I copied and pasted into my metadata, like Haley walked us through, for the Busy Bee, and it worked great. So that's how I got it there. Storyline takes a little bit more wordsmithing. I'm like, there's a term for this. Wordsmithing. It took a little more wordsmithing, I think, to get ChatGPT to do what I wanted it to do. But it worked. It worked. For me, at least. Any other questions? Do you want me to walk through how to put this into Busy Bee again? I think we're good, but okay. Put it in the metadata. Okay, I think we're good. Huzzah. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Any concerns? Questions, comments, gripes?
Was this helpful? Like, do you feel like you understand it better now? What support do you still need? What's going on?
I don't know. Can we, Katie and Nicole?
And Beth and Mallory.
Yeah. We can. In fact, this is what maybe it will be good to wait until the fall, because I'm going to be during my legislative hours doing this, so I might have a little more experience a little later after I've done it, 10 or 12 times.
It's kind of what science plans on doing too. We plan on taking out all of our content and putting it into metadata in all of our current units so that students can use BusyBee this summer too.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
I
we
would
can do
also-
this stuff on how to get images and all that out if you want to, yeah.
That's what I would like to see as well, because I do plan for my goal next year. I want to work on something similar to what you guys are doing, where I'm taking a bunch of storylines that are not very interactive and not very exciting. They're not the best of the best that I want to keep, and moving them into Rises. And so I would love to see some of the tricks you're using to save time, because I've heard about them just a little.
I mean, I don't know how helpful that is for everybody. If everyone wants to see it, great. Otherwise, I could
It could be a fall webinar if you feel like it's more of a 1 hour thing rather than a whole day thing, a part of the day, something
it's
like
not
that.
a whole day thing.
No,
I
it's
mean,
really
I just
great.
don't know if,
Like
whole
I
staff
like
would be interested.
my old storylines, I didn't have notes on them and I didn't have the scripts. So to get like the most of it was audio. So I just learned how to download the audio and then I dropped it into Adobe Podcast to generate a script for me. So I just kind of worked backwards. But it's just in like the resources on Storyline. If you just go to your media library, it has all your pictures and audio and video there. You can download them. So like if you used a picture in your storyline and you really want that same picture, just go to the storyline file, media library, and you can download any picture that you used, which will save you time tracking stuff down.
If you don't know where the media library is, it's under the View tab and right here, Media Library in the Views group. And I can click on it, but you guys can't see it because I just shared my screen. Sorry. Cool. Okay. Well, short but sweet. Sorry, we definitely
I'm
thought that was
curious,
going to
has
take
anyone
longer.
had students like on the student side using the BusyBee stuff? Do we know? Have we heard from students what their? I don't even know if we have any
No
feedback on
idea.
that.
Oh, my thought was this summer when we are doing it with our PLC was to build an intro lesson or something that says, here's what BusyBee is, here's where it's at on your lessons, here's how to use it, just to guide students to it, because you may not even know it's there if you don't scroll down enough.
Yeah.
I
Can you make
made
one that like we all can have, like we all can use. That's not course specific. That'd be amazing.
Nicole, I made a quick GIF that just shows them, because mine, so I haven't added it into any of my storyline or rises, but at the end of every one of my modules, I have a little help page that summarizes all the major terms and stuff. And so it was easy to just turn it on there because it's already there in Buzz. And so I made a little GIF that just shows them, hey, on the help pages, this is what it'll look like. And here's how it can help you. So if anybody wants it, I'm happy to share it. I don't know how helpful it would be since it is specific to my help pages, but it's just a little quick GIF. So I'm happy to share that if anybody wants.
I love it. Please send it my way and I'll attach it to the webinar for here.
Okay.
So it's there. Thank you. Katie asked, do you get data in Buzz about who's using it and how?
I think that would be a Darcy question. She's not here today.
Yeah, Darcy's not here. She's in the classroom. So we can definitely ask and get back to you, though. I'm not sure.
I think you could use at the end of a survey if they use the BusyBee tools. I think that's a perfectly fine place to ask.
Yeah, look at you gathering your own data. I love it. Here for it. Cool. Okay. Any other questions? Comments? Gripes?